Welcome to a weekly episode of Talk. We're your host, Eddie Marmolejo.
And I'm Jaime Moreno.
Lots to talk about this week, Jaime. But first and foremost, before we begin with this week's topics, we always invite you to follow Talk through our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, by simply searching at Talk. Go to the link in the bio in our Instagram. We'll take you to our Anchor FM page where we have our episodes on audio. And if you search Talk Media on YouTube, it'll take you to the video version of our episodes. Now, as you know, we've been talking about cancel culture America this last couple of weeks. And we have two new victims. Jaime, what are they?
The two new victims are the most famous victims there is when it comes to children's. Well, just in regards to children in general, the number one right now, the biggest victim right now is Mr. Potato Head. Mr. Potato Head will no longer be called Mr. He will just be called Potato Head. Why? Because Mr. Potato Head is going against all genders and gender neutrality and gender. I forget the other name. I don't know what kind of genders we have, but pretty much is that it's a specific gender and that discriminates all the other 74 genders.
74 genders. Wow. Okay.
So it discriminates all the other genders because Mr. Potato Head is Mr. Potato Head, and it discriminates the rest of the genders. So that's why the Hasbro makers decided to take away Mr. Potato Head and just put Potato Head.
Oh, wow.
Now we're waiting on what's going to happen with Mrs. Potato Head. But since she's female, it might just remain the same. But of course, like we always say here in Talk, if you're going to do everything equal, do it equal. And Mrs. Potato Head is also gender specific. So either she loses the Mrs. or this whole Mr. Potato Head deal. It's just another elite, small group of politically charged small interest, just trying to make people bend or fold, whatever, to the demands. The second victim is Dr. Seuss. 6 of the Dr. Seuss's books will be forever stopped from print. The company Dr. Seuss Enterprises, which handles all the literature of Dr. Seuss, the printing and the distribution of it, will now remove 6 books because of the caricatures that portray racial stereotypes, right? And because of those racial stereotypes, it's offensive, right? And it hurts. And it makes people feel less than themselves, or especially the races that Dr. Seuss is depicting negatively, because of that, they're going to remove 6 books because of its inherent racism. So, well, the good news is that the Cat in the Hat will remain in publication, and so will the Grinch, right? But the other books, like If I Owned a Zoo or I Saw It on Mulberry Street and so on and so forth, will be canceled. So we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll cancel To Kill a Mockingbird. Oh, wait, we did cancel Kill a Mockingbird. Huh?
Come on, yeah, it's been
That's
canceled.
right. Oh, never mind.
In the schools, remember right here now.
Bless Me Ultima, because of its religious references to Santeria in the Latino culture, Latinx culture, right?
I don't accept fascist terms on this show.
But
I don't accept fascist terms on this show, sir.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's ridiculous. I personally like Mr. Potato Head. He's funny. I mean, the man was voiced by the famous oh my God, I forgot the famous name. Mr. Warmth, which is a comedian, right? A really big stand-up comedian. Potato Head. Hold on, I'm looking at it for right now. Head voice. Don Rickles. There you go. I forgot his name. Don Rickles voiced Mr. Potato Head, which he did a great job. Famous artist, of course. In today's society, with the Gen X, Mr. Don Rickles will be scandalous, and I'm surprised he hasn't been canceled yet because of his various racial stereotypes and comedy back in the 70s. But
right.
We'll wait until that happens. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. I mean, it's pretty sad. children's books are being now. Everything's racist. I mean, I think the solution to the problem is not canceling stuff. It's not hiding those stereotypes from children, from generations coming. I grew up with it. It didn't affect me, obviously, because I'm not those races they refer to. But like I told Eddie earlier, Dr. Seuss doesn't even mention Latinos or draw Latinos, right? Whatever.
No,
I mean, he draws other races, right? In his caricature. I mean, in those two books I just mentioned, there's two caricatures or stereotypes, right? In those two books. Mulberry Street has a stereotype of an Asian boy, a Chinese boy, and if I ran a zoo, it has a racial stereotype of a African person. Whether you think it's stereotype or not, whether you care or not, that's your business. But like I told Eddie, I don't think Dr. Seuss mentioned Latinos. Yeah. So I don't know if we should be offended by that and asked to cancel Dr. Seuss in total because we're not represented either, so we're being left out. I don't know, right? But the way things are going, it could be a reason some people might cancel Dr. Seuss in general because he didn't make a racial slur on Latinos.
In our previous episode,
we might get rid of Jose Ole.
Now, in our previous episode, we talked about Emmy Award-winning daytime governor Andrew Cuomo, the granny killer. Okay. Now he's being. We mentioned last week that many Democrats in New York and the people in general try to push for impeachment. Today I was reading that they're trying to take away his emergency powers. All this in lieu of a sex scandal. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to sex scandals, I am very, very weary of Democrats holding female Democrats holding male Democrats accountable. Case in point, your vice president. Your vice president during the campaign said that she believed Tara Reid. And that would mean that she would believe Joe Biden committed a sexual assault on Tara Reid. Those many years ago. But then after she was given the vice president nominee, it went away. Now, with the exception of AOC, which is surprising, Kamala Harris has been silent on Cuomo, but so many other Democrats. But Jaime, what's going on there? What's going on this week regarding these?
Basically, some former employees of Governor Cuomo, one of them, a female, came out and said that she received unwanted flirtation from the governor, which, hinted on let's have sex, right? And that was offensive to her. Happened many years ago. She came forward to speak of it. Fredo.
No, that's the wrong Cuomo. Fredo is at CNN.
Okay, well, that Cuomo said he can't talk about his brother.
Oh yeah, so it is Fredo. Oh, sorry, they were still.
Yeah, he couldn't report on his brother's scandals.
Yeah,
he said he couldn't.
Right.
Because it's his brother, and he tried to cover it as professionalism, as conflict of interest kind of thing. But honestly, no. I mean, even if it's your brother, you should still call him out.
No, honestly. True. And I think I prompted the only defense I would have, because I know there's always the conflict of interest clause. Like if you're an anchor, can you do that regarding a presidential candidate, maybe family? But then again, like Jaime, you quickly pointed out, there were all the interviews in 2020 regarding the pandemic, his leadership, his run for president, and it's all that good stuff, right? And when as soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I was like, yeah. So like I said, that was the only thing probably. Well, maybe it's because it's a case. He's a reporter. There might be a conflict of interest based on a contract, and you're like, yeah, that would make sense. But then you have all this to talk about. So yeah. And I was like, exactly. In that case, speak up, Cuomo. Fredo, speak up. You have a national duty to do so, my friend. Yeah. So.
Exactly. Just like he could, like Eddie said, like told him that. I mean, just like he praised his brother, like he could be the presidential candidate. He's doing such a good job. Why isn't that considered a conflict of interest? Right? Oh, it's not considered a conflict of interest because he's speaking highly of his own brother.
Right.
But it all of a sudden becomes conflict of interest if he speaks negatively of his brother, which could cause him a re-election. right? So even their own standard of what's professionalism is double standard sometimes too, right?
Yeah.
And this is in case in point. Well, as these women that come out, right, to speak, a lot of the Me Too women, like what we sit here and even talk, a lot of the Me Too women and the believe all women and that all women should be believed, they're quiet. They're very, very quiet on this. They're not making a big deal. They're not making any protest. They're not writing nasty letters, of condemnation. They're not posting on social media talking about how horrible this is and how Cuomo should be removed from office. They're not making a big hype out of it. They're not like they did with Trump, with other conservatives in the past. They're not doing it, which is interesting because if they, like we said here in Talk many months ago, if they really cared about women's rights and they really cared about victims, it doesn't matter who is conservative or liberal, you will hold both people accountable regardless of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
But like we keep saying here in MM Talk, the bias is so obvious that people believe it and they eat it like it's like, oh, inspiring. Like, really, guys? Really? And that's a shame. That's a shame. And it really is a shame. I do hope that they come forward and they investigate and they hold them accountable.
Yeah.
And same as with the grannies, with sending, stick people into the nursing homes. I mean, and then he hides the evidence. He tries to cover it up to avoid, an investigation. You led yourself to an investigation. You made a self-fulfilling prophecy. You hid information to try to not get investigated, but you got caught hiding information, so now you're being investigated. Right? And the media isn't talking about it. I mean, I turned on MSNBC. I turned in CNN. I turned in ABC. I'm looking at these on TV. I'm not talking about print. On TV. And I have yet to see a heart-quenching, revealing, truthful, honest, transparent, groundbreaking, investigative journalism.
Yeah, investigative journalism report. That's what I was going to say. Yep.
And they haven't done it. I have not seen that.
Yep.
Fox is the only national news channel that's talking about it, obviously, right?
I was going to say it's the opposition.
Right? Because that is the opposition. Yes,
right.
That is the opposition. But all these Maddows, Lemons, Cuomo's, CNN, Wolf, Primetime ABC, they're not saying a
Stephanopoulos.
Nothing. Stephanopoulos. They're not holding Governor Cuomo to a high standard of investigative journalism and investigating what happened. They're not doing it. Just like they're not doing it like the way they did it with Trump.
No, I know.
They're not doing it with
Governor Cuomo. And then that is the double
Cuomo.
standard. Yep.
Cuomo.
Mm-hmm.
So if these people really cared about the victims, it doesn't matter who it is. And I will have to give it a AOC on this case, right? Because she's trying to hold Cuomo accountable.
Yeah, she's the one that publicly said, hey, what the heck is going on? Why? And I guess Biden also was like, hey, yeah, you all got to handle that. You got to handle that. But that's the thing, though. That's what I was saying. Like the Kamala Harris's and all these people, they're like, oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Now they're like,
Where's Elizabeth Warren? Believe all women. I believe all women. I believe them. I'm trying to imitate her. I can't. She does that. I believe all women. I don't know how she does her eyebrows. Right? But anyways, where are they? Where's the scandal? Where's the uproar? Where's the marches? Where's the social media influencers posting, making it trend? Where are they?
Where's what's her face again?
And the Alyssa Milano. Is that now they're asking for facts. We gotta wait for all the facts to come out.
Oh yeah, in the Cuomo interview, I love that. In the conference he had today, he's like, and I want to tell people to please wait for the facts. And this is a bad Cuomo interpretation, by the way. Wait for the facts before making an opinion. Wait for the facts before making an opinion. Wait for the facts.
Wow.
I'm a lawyer too, but I don't care. Wait for the facts. And I'm like, so now Democrats, when you're in the hot seats, you want to wait for the facts before making an opinion.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm like,
so you as a viewer, if you don't get the double standard right now, I don't know what else we can do.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to Republicans or conservatives, who cares about the facts? We need to get, A good case in point is Kavanaugh, right?
Yeah.
When all the whole scandal came out with Kavanaugh, right? We don't have to listen to a case. Oh, you want an investigator? That's traumatizing to the victim because you have to make them remember what happened, and it's traumatizing to relive it, and you have to believe them. Cuomo is under the hot seat for doing that. No one's talking. No one's saying this. No one's saying exactly what I just said right now.
Yeah.
Right. And now they want the facts. No, we're going to wait for the facts, the evidence to support the claims, because we just got to check the facts.
Oh man.
Okay, so you only use the facts when it comes to you, but
Yes.
not to your opposition.
That is correct.
Right. So they really don't care about victims. They just care about political power. That's all.
Yeah.
The end.
Anyway, so we'll see what happens with Cuomo. It's going to be interesting. But let's stick with Democrats just a little while longer. Actually, we're going to stick with Democrats for the rest of the show. But we also said last week, there is a shift going on in Democrats when it comes to immigration. Now, last week, we talked about Senator Padilla here of California, who told Univision straight out, look, the immigration reform that we're about to do is for the people that have been in this country for a long time, that have contributed to the economy for a long time. Also, by the way, an argument made by Talk. All those things, right? We have to take care of the border, people inside, and then maybe we can move on to the next people, which are the ones waiting for asylum across the border. And like we said last week, Jorge Ramos flat out asked him, so the border is not open, and this immigration deal will not really benefit those that are coming or are waiting on the other side. And what did Senator Padilla said? Nope.
No.
Nope.
No.
No. Okay. So, Secretary Mayorkas is facing right now backlash because he won't admit there's crises in the border, right? He won't admit that, even though we just came out to find out that, for example, the Department of Homeland Security warns there is a crisis on the border, as 117,000 unaccompanied children are expected at the border this year. Okay. In 2014, they put into custody 68,000. In 2019, there was 80,000. First of all, where are you going to put all these kids? Because according to the article in the Washington Examiner, you can only hold them for 3 days, and after 3 days, you have to release them to health services, right? And they have to find a sponsor or somebody to take care of them. And now they're battling of getting a shelter with 20.
So they're going back to cages.
They're going back to cages. I don't know if that's what it is, but according to this, they're waiting for plans to make 20,000 shelter beds and 8,000. And because Homeland only had 8,000 beds available as of last week. Okay, so there's one crisis, and we don't need to go over and over in that argument as to why it's hard to deal with unaccompanied minors at the border. Okay. I mean, we have. Please tune into our previous episodes of Talk for that. Excuse me here. Oh Lordy, what happened? Dang article. Okay, that's one. Two. Also today, there were migrants right at the San Isidro, Mexico, San Isidro Tijuana border. Right. Well, maybe it's Mexico border as well, with people wearing shirts that said, "Biden, please let us in." Now we have this going on, okay? So they have that situation. Biden's, please let us in. First of all, I don't know where they got the shirts. I mean, I don't know where they got the shirts.
They're supposed to be here with no money, right? No resources. And they have brand new Biden let us in shirts.
Yeah. So he's already working on trying to get 25,000 people in, okay? 25,000 people to get across the border. He's got children he's putting back in the cages because there's not enough room. But hey, we're conservatives, right? We don't know what the heck we're talking about. Can we hear from a Democrat real quick? Here is Representative Vicente Gonzalez in CNN being interviewed regarding Joe Biden's current immigration policy.
You're quoted in Politico as saying this, and it really struck me, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show today. You said, the way that we're doing it right now is catastrophic, and it's a recipe for disaster. Our party should be concerned. If we go off the rails, it's going to be bad for us. You went on to say Biden is going to be dealing with a minority in Congress if he continues down some of these paths. Which paths do you think are the wrong paths that you see the Biden administration going down now on immigration?
Well, my concern in the recent weeks in my district, migrants who made it across the border, who even passed the line of MPPs, who are 5,000 folks that have been waiting for 2 years across the border, made it across the Rio Grande Valley, were processed and released. If that is the message that we send to Central America and around the world, I can assure you it won't be long before we have tens of thousands of people showing up to our border, and it'll be catastrophic for our party, for our country, for my region, for my district. In the middle of a pandemic in an area where we've lost over 3,000 people in my small congressional district. So I think we need to have a better plan in place. I think asylum seekers should be able to ask for asylum and be processed in their home country or a neighboring country. And we shouldn't have a policy in place that impulses people to make this 2,000-mile trek where cartels and human traffickers are enriching themselves.
Now, out of all those statements, how many times have we said all that in the last 2 years this show's been on? Never mind Trump. Never mind Trump. I'm talking talk. We have said, well, maybe you should stop giving aid to those countries and find a way to make their economies better so those people will not come. Senor right here, Jaime Moreno Fernandez, said, well, what happens when you have the next wave and the next wave after that? And when you make it easier for them to come, what are you going to do about that? Okay. Let's see what was next. I don't know. You need to take care of those people inside the border and try to find ways to make them towards citizenship, residency, whatever you want to call it. Oh, my favorite one. Asylum seek in your own country, therefore we got to designate safe zones so you can apply there before you come over here.
Sounds familiar.
You know,
it was considered racist.
Xenophobic, whitewash, whatever, because we're giving it, right? Inhumane, you know, all these things. Mm-hmm. Yet you have a Democrat right there in Texas whose district is near the border and is telling you, well, guys, I mean, catch and release really doesn't work. You got to change these laws. We can't have all these people coming because it incentivizes more people to coming. So my thing is, why are Democrats over the last 2 weeks sounding more and more like Republicans? Case in point, Donald Trump's last closure at the U.S.-Mexico border was, I don't want people crossing over or coming into this country through any port of entry because of COVID. I don't want people to get sick. I don't want people to come in here and then get sick when they're sent back. Racist. It's racist. I Google search asylum rules of asylum changes, and the Washington Post, right, was calling out Donald, saying that he's trying to make it more hard for immigrants. He's just trying to make it more hard. He's just trying to make it more difficult. He's just trying to make it more of this. No, he's not trying to. He's trying to abide by the laws. And now you have a Democrat asking for the same thing.
Exactly.
So what is, again, double standards? Double standards. You literally had a Democrat last week told you, we are not going to help the people across the border, and no, we don't believe that the border is going to stay open, right? And then Joe Biden puts kids in the cages, right? Now you have this Democrat saying, hey, man, this ain't working. This ain't working. We can't have people coming in. We can't be doing this. We got to change it around. So what's going on, Democrats? What's going on? I mean, the thing is, I only attack you guys right now because we have been saying it over and over. It's not easy. It's not easy. This issue is not easy. And you're not going to solve it with an open border promise. You need to secure your borders. You need to have control on borders. And when now you have Democrats asking for the same thing, my question is, are you going to listen? I mean, are you really going to listen? Because I don't think you are. but it is what it is. We said we at least in Talk we can smile to you and said, hey, we've been talking about this for a while now.
We told y'all.
We told y'all. You know, we
yes, exactly.
We gave the numbers. 80% of them don't qualify for asylum. I think it was like what 98% don't even show up to their court hearing cases. Like the numbers are there. The numbers are there. Okay, just because we're conservative or you hear that we're Republican, don't tune into that. Tune into the numbers we're giving you. Because now Democrats are now using the same numbers to
how the tables are turning.
Huh?
How the tables are turning.
Now the tables are turning. Jaime, go ahead, man.
No, you answered it all. You're good. I have nothing to add other than the tables are turning. Because like you said, the Republicans have been saying the same thing. We've been saying the same thing here and in talk in regards to that. And the Democrats now see the Democrats don't care for the solution, right? They just want your vote. And they'll make a scandal and they'll make a drama and they'll make it like it's the end of the world just to get your vote and put them in office.
And that's how I want.
Once they get in office and they realize we were wrong, they're not going to admit they're wrong. They're just like, we're going to work on it. We're going to put money on it. And it's like, nah, dude, you need to tell people the truth. And the truth is that your plan isn't going to work. And it's bad. It's terrible. It's terrible for this country and for the people who work here, for the people who've been here, the people who work and travel here, who've been living here for the rest of their life. I mean, it's terrible. So,
hey, but that was
like Eddie said, everything that he just said, Republicans have been trying to do, Trump has been trying to do, but for 4 years has been called xenophobic
and racist.
But now the Democrats are talking about it, all of a sudden it sheds all that. Really,
it's enlightening what we're seeing at the border. I didn't know that was going on.
Because Democrats don't know about border stuff. All they know is about, we need to have our people come in for free and work here. That's all they know. They don't know about security risk. They don't know about
dude. And that's when I talk to Latinos that may not agree with us in this specific topic, is like, look, dude, go. I'm not talking Trump. Just look what's going on at the border. I don't care what your skin color is. I don't care and all that. Look at the impact it has on the economy. Look at the humanitarian aspect and what they're risking. We just saw an article today, Jaime, where 25 people were involved in a crash near Calexico, right? Because the SUV they were riding on, one was oversized, and by oversized I mean there were too many people in there. Half of those people died or were injured in this crash by a rig, right? We know the 1,200 miles they got to travel by foot or on that train they called the Beast, right, to get to the border. Now you're waiting at the border. Now you have to wait even longer because of COVID. You and yourself are putting yourself at a risk of COVID because now you're in refugee camps at the border. You still have to, I don't know what Mexico plans to do. I mean, except anytime they can pull the plug, say, hey, y'all got to go back. Get out of here. You know, I don't know. So all these risks are putting up. And now you have people at the border with the shirts that say, Biden, please let me in. And they're on their knees. They're on their knees. Biden, please let me in. That is the lie. That is the lie. And now Democrats are telling you that is a lie. It's a lie. Because Democrats just wanted your vote. Latinos, Democrats just wanted a vote so you could put him in power. Congratulations. You drank the Kool-Aid, and now he's in power, and look what's going on at the border. We warned you. We warned you. We warned you. We warned you, and we warned you again. And we said, okay, look. Do you know what's going on at the border? Have you seen the statistics? Have you seen the information? You're racist. Okay. All right. There you go. Have a happy 4 years. And now
hopefully they actually start telling the truth.
What cracked me up the most over the last couple of days is Voto Latino. Voto Latino. The Biden administration needs to be held accountable for its promises, and we have to work hard because now there's people winning aside across the border. 6 months ago, Biden is the best hope for Latinos, even those that are trying to come at the border. I'm like, how's that working out, Voto Latino? How is that working out? I want a representative of Voto Latino to please come on this show. We will talk about it.
Please.
Actually, I will reach out to Voto Latino. I want a representative of Voto Latino to come on this show and talk to me how to get their perspective, how they supported Biden and how they view the situation at the border. I won't even, I'll be respectful because in the show we'll show respect. But it's funny when we try to talk to organizations like Voto Latino and counter their argument, and they still post this nonsense. And so we'll see. We'll reach out. We'll see what. Following up, his 90 days are coming up, right? It's 100 days.
Yes. Yeah. No immigration reform yet.
No immigration reform yet. Okay. So we'll see. Now, this next topic is something I've talked about on the show. I did an independent video on Middle East regional politics, right? I talked about the Abraham Accords. I talked about why the Biden administration should not go away from the Abraham Accords or the arms deals that were put in the Middle East by the Trump administration. That was 2 weeks into his term? Here we are a month later now. Articles everywhere coming out on this, okay? Articles everywhere. So don't say I didn't tell you so again. But the thing is, here's the thing. I said, President Biden, please do not let the politics of your party retract on the potential of the Abraham Accords. There's potential that your party is not seeing. And what was I referring to? Regional, Jaime, your mic's off. Your mic is off, sir.
I mean to say I cut you. I was trying to cut you in, but you said the party doesn't want to see, is not seeing. I said they don't want to see it.
They don't want to see. Okay, but they don't want to see it. But it's not seeing the potential of the Abraham Accords. I'm not talking about why Donald Trump got nominated for 4 Nobel Peace Prizes. That's because of what he did to get there. That's fine. But I said, look at the Abraham Accords as an accord itself. Right? Look at it. What is the potential that you're seeing? I said, for the first time, Arab states are cooperating with Israel. Arab states wanted Israel eliminated from the map. Eliminated from the map. Now they were willing to cooperate. They're willing to cooperate, right? Pan-Arabism, right, which is a term that would say that all Arab states unite under a common cause, and that was the elimination of Israel. And hopefully you can have all Arabs unite together and hopefully, grow as an economic and regional power as well. That failed. That failed too, okay, because you couldn't do it. But now that wasn't in effect. And then the Palestinian question wasn't driving geopolitics in the Middle East. So for the first time, you had 3 major factors that drove politics in the Middle East out of the picture. And what was it replaced with? Arms deals that Israel approved to give to Arab states. Israel said, that's all right, go ahead, arm them up. And, just give us some sort of countermeasures, which we did. They were arming, for example, the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, giving them arms deals, right? Giving them weapons so they can counter the threats. In Saudi Arabia, that was very important because, like the United States, Saudi Arabia was facing Shiite militias in Yemen that were attacking Saudi installations in Yemen, but also just Saudi targets in general. And for us, is in Syria and Iraq. Shia funded militias also attacking the U.S. So you see, what they all had in common is who was funding them. Iran, right? So here's the thing. Here's what I'm trying to get to. I don't know if it was a little history lesson, but here's the thing that's going on the last couple of years. We have been in this region directly involved, right, for 20 years this year. 20 years. Donald Trump talked about ending endless wars. Democrat and former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard talked about ending endless wars. And I said, the Abraham Accords give you a pathway to do that. Because, and this is just a projection, man, you could create like a Middle East style NATO, where you have a U.S. presence there, right? But it's not directly involved. You have all these other states, now that they're technologically, militarily, and economically able to handle the security in the region. You can take a step back You can still be, you're still going to need to be consulted because you're a major superpower, right? So, but they can handle those security issues in the Middle East. You keep Iran at bay. And for the United States, what does that also allow? To keep Russia and China out of the picture, as they may also want to fill that void and say, well, we'll help you out and we'll help you out. Not diminishing U.S. power. So not only do you take a step back and you say, okay, cool, let them handle it. And if they need our help, we'll help them out, right? But you keep two other major superpowers away. You keep them at bay. You're like, get out of there. And you keep Iran at bay. So I don't understand all those PhDs that are in the Democratic National Security Council right now and did not understand the potential of the Abraham Accords. And I may be totally wrong in my projection of this so-called Middle East NATO, but when I see economic prosperity, technological prosperity, military prosperity, that leads to better cooperation within the region when you have a common threat. And the common threat right now for the Middle East is Iran. So once again, President Biden, I advise you to start renegotiating with Saudi Arabia. Oh, but Saudi Arabia killed their journalists. Okay, he's not doing nothing about that. He said, I'm not going to do nothing about that. But you're willing to take away the only thing that could help them be a stable nation in that region, which was the arms sales, right? They need that kind of help. So I don't understand it. But anyways, don't back away from the Abraham Accords. Expand on them. I'm telling you, this benefits the United States in the long run. And that's it.
It keeps muting. I don't know why. Yeah, you're right, Eddie. You're definitely right. And I think Americans are tired of these endless wars, right? We just want people home. Just stop. And Donald Trump is the first president in the 21st century that has not expanded on the war efforts.
Yeah.
Right. Even Obama couldn't keep his word, and right now Biden is definitely not going to do that, anyways. But that's not the point. The point here is, like Eddie says, the Middle East has to cooperate and form its own NATO, right? Because NATO was European nations against Soviet
Russia.
Union.
Yeah, well, yeah, Russia. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right now, the common enemy is Iran. Within the Middle Eastern countries are seeing Iran as a threat, so they can form their own NATO-style organization, right? It could be called
whatever.
METO or something, I don't know. METO. Middle Eastern
Middle Eastern Treaty Organization,
METO or something, yeah, I think that should happen. And the fact that they're not paying attention to Abraham, of course.
Oh my God.
Huh?
I said it. Middle Eastern Trade Organization. I swear, if Dr. Otten were here right now, he would fail me. And he was my national security professor. Middle Eastern Treaty Organization. Dr. Otten, if you're listening.
I don't know. I'm just making it simple. Just making it simple. It's not a serious thing. It's just, just to get an idea of what we're talking about.
Right.
The thing is that, yeah, Eddie, you're absolutely right. And until we allow Middle Eastern countries to cooperate, which the Abraham Accord allows, and defend themselves and be able to work with each other for peace, it would help the United States. It would take off that burden from the United States, right? Obviously, like Eddie says, the United States, China, and Russia are Security Council, so they're going to be on top of it anyways, right? But it alleviates that burden from us here in the States. And the reason they don't want to pay attention to Abraham Accords is because Trump did it. Exactly. And like we said here in the talk, the hatred against the man is so big that they're willing to, they don't care how, even if he did a good treaty, they still won't they want to accept it because they hate that man that much. And that's the big mistake. That's immature, if you ask me, immature. But we'll see.
We'll see. All right, so next we have an interview. We got in contact with the recall efforts, and the reason why this was important is because Jaime and I can talk about it. We can give you the numbers, we can give you what's going on. But I said, let me reach out to somebody that has actually been on the ground working the effort and can give you better details as to what is going on as far as the recall Gavin Newsom 2020. So here's the interview. Check it out. So we got a special guest this week. He's currently the senior advisor for the Gavin Newsom 2020 campaign. He has worked on 300 political campaigns, more than 300 political campaigns since 1982 for Democrats, Republicans, and even libertarians. He's a well-respected investigative journalist in California, recipient of 5 top awards from the Los Angeles Press Club in 2013, 14, and 16. His work even led to the explosion of the biggest corruption case in Los Angeles County history, leading to the arrest of then assessor John R. Noguez. He's a film documentarian, president and CEO of Hot Water Studios, and former host of the Randy Economy Show. Please welcome to the program, Randy Economy.
What's going on, guys? And I actually have the new Randy Economy Show every Saturday on KABC at 11 o'clock.
All right, make sure we
California. I'll have to have you guys on one day.
We would appreciate that.
Come on down to Culver City. We'll take the place over for a day.
All right. Sounds like a plan. So, let's ask Randy what's going on with the Gavin Newsom 2020 campaign.
So, hi, everybody. Well, as you know, thank you for coming on the show today.
Oh,
we appreciate it. Thank you for your time. I know you've been doing busy, especially getting those that last hump, right, with those final signatures, just to be 100% sure there's no excuse, right, to make sure there's nothing that comes up. So the first thing we wanted to ask you is, what led to this recall effort? What's the story behind the need to recall Gavin Newsom?
Well, it's not one thing, it's a combination of many things. And I think when he let the inmates out on early release and locked 40 million Californians down because of this virus, I think that was emblematic of who he is as a man and a leader. And I think he kind of had his priorities twisted around. And the economic devastation that he created with so many mom and pop businesses throughout California, including places like Huntington Park and Commerce and East LA and San Diego and East Oakland, it was devastating. And he thought that he was doing the right thing, and he didn't ask for any help. He didn't ask for any assistance from members of the legislature. He did it upon himself through executive actions and executive orders. So of course, we're going to take the opportunity to do what we can do formally and legally under the California Constitution, and that is to actually engage in the process of holding a formal recall. And so this is not the first attempt of a recall. This is the third attempt that has been done against Governor Newsom since the first day he took office just less than 2 years ago. And so it's not one thing that he's done, it's a combination of everything. And I think that's healthy for the democratic process. We're very blessed in California because we have a very smart electorate, and we have a lot of people who are used to voting all the time. There's always an election, there's always a campaign going on someplace in California. And I think what has fueled this movement is it's not Republicans, it's not Democrats, it's not libertarians. I like to refer to it as, this is a California thing. And from people outside of the state, they probably don't understand the craziness of politics here in California. And yes, politics is a hard sport here in California. It's a contact sport. There's a lot of people that shouldn't be in office, but there's a lot of people too that are good, honest, hardworking, decent people who need to have the chance to be able to be in office. And we have a culture of corruption and a culture of big money that has controlled politics, especially in the Southeast Los Angeles County area. I call that the corridor of corruption. So many elected officials have been taken out in handcuffs, and they should have, because of their misdeeds over the past. And this is an opportunity for people to go ahead and correct a wrong, and to be able to stand up and say, I want different, and I want to hold this governor accountable because I'm suffering, and maybe it didn't have to be this bad.
Okay, wow, that's really good. So you said there's 3 recalls. What happened to the last 2?
They failed, and they failed because I don't think it was necessarily the right time. And I think based upon the people that we have who are driving the force of this effort right now, we're all volunteers. The man who's the responsible main party of this, his name is Orrin Heatley. He's a former sheriff, a deputy sergeant from Folsom, California. And the other gentleman is Mike Netter. He's a co-proponent. He's a PR executive out of Covina. And, you know, we don't have a lot of people that have been involved in politics before. They just felt the need that they had to do something. And they know that, you know, they sat back and they watched the two previous attempted recalls fail and fail badly because it was about the proponents of the recall. It wasn't about the main issue, and that was doing the heavy lifting and getting the work done. So I think what you've seen is a political miracle in the making. We're very organized. We have 250,000 volunteers right now.
Wow.
You know, as a matter of fact, I just got I think we got about 3,500 registered petitions signed in Huntington Park just a couple of days ago. So it's not because of the two-party system that has failed California. It's about you know, it's like the perfect. It's like this has become like the ultimate train wreck of politics, and we have made people feel empowered, and we've turned this campaign over to anybody who wants to get involved by going to our website at recallgavin2020.com. They can take the petition, they can download it, they can circulate it within their own community, within their own home, and stick it in the mail and put a stamp on it. It's that simple. It's retail politics at its best.
Wow, that's really good. Well, it makes it easier, especially online, right, to sign it. Especially now with the lockdown, a lot of people have.
Yeah, but you know what you got to do is you still got to go ahead and you got to use that paper. You still got to write it in ink. So there's we haven't got to that point in politics yet in California, and I hope we never do. I hope we can, you know, we don't need everything to be electronic. We need to have that old school grassroots politics.
Of course.
Because if we take that away, I mean, we're missing something. And, you know, I want to know who my local city council member is in Bell Gardens. And I want to know who my local city council member is in Linwood. And I want to feel like I'm involved in the process. And that's, you know, I want to know who's on the Central Basin Water Board and if there's corruption going on there. So it's the fundamental principle of being an active Californian, and we want to engage everybody, and we don't care what side of the political aisle they're on. Because let's face it, we're all Californians, and we're all a little crazy anyway. So
I guess it's the mixture of ocean, mountains, and desert, right? It's all mixed.
Yeah, well, you know, before you guys were born back in the 70s, I know, I'm dating myself. Well, none of you were born in the 70s, were you? You probably are.
No. We're 80s kids.
80s kids. Okay. So in the 70s, there was a campaign commercial for a cereal called Grape Nuts. And the thing was, it was like a new type of a thing. And they said, what isn't a nut or a fruit is a flake, and it becomes a big bowl of cereal. And so I think what we've seen in this campaign is we've seen a lot of nuts, we've seen a lot of fruits, we've seen a lot of flakes. But that's the magic of what we're doing at this recall. And we embrace everything and everybody who wants to get involved. And that's the magic of California.
Of course. And also, we also know, initially when this third recall, what was the reaction to it, especially the heavy political class here in California? I'm assuming that you got some backlash from big donors from Newsom's campaign, you know, people who are part of his political, or who are what on his what do we call it, the
political elite, I think we call it.
Political elite, yes.
I don't think I'll be invited to Gavin Newsom's birthday party or his next event at the French Laundry restaurant up in Northern California.
You won't make a TikTok with him at a restaurant?
Lord, I can't even believe half the stuff that's written out there in the media about this campaign, and it's a phenomenon. And you know, I've never met the man. I'm sure it'd be fun to throw a few beers down with the guy and maybe do some shots or whatever. I mean, he's like the ultimate frat boy. That may be good in central casting to cast a role of a political rising star, but it's not what we need in a governor. And And I think he's got the rules for everybody who's here, and then he's got the rules over there, and then he has his rules. And his rules are the ones that all he cares about, and that's all he knows, because he's a very privileged man, and that's not a bad thing. That's just who he is as an individual. So I think you're going to continue seeing a lot of momentum for the campaign from all walks of life, and I think that's just the magic of what we're doing. And I think we're going to end up with a pretty good governor, whoever it is, because this person who's going to become the governor, whoever it is going to be very conscientious, and they're going to realize that they got their governorship because of the people. And I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that he is going to be recalled and he will be removed. And this is a once in a lifetime situation. Last time we did this was a generation ago. It was 18 years ago. When Gray Davis was recalled, and everybody thought everybody was nuts. He'll never be recalled. Everybody loves Gray. There's too many Democrats. Yada yada yada. Well, it didn't work out that way. How'd that work out, right? And so I think we're seeing a repeat of history, but in a much more, I guess, politically charged atmosphere than what we've seen before at any other time in American political history.
Well, speaking about the people and speaking the unity of a lot of, across the board, I imagine a lot of people are signing this petition to get 1.8 million signatures so far, right?
1.83. I think we might even have a new announcement coming out tonight in a couple of hours in regards to an update. But we want to get as many as we can get. We don't want to leave any stone unturned.
Well, just for the sake of easy numbers, 1.8, right, and a plus 1.8 plus, just for the sake of to make it simple in numbers. That's a big feat, especially in a heavily blue state.
It's a heavily blue state, but I mean, the people who are affected by his policies are Democrats. It's the hardworking blue collar union members who are out of work now because of him. And when you shut down the 5th largest economy in the world, and you just shut it down and not consult anybody, a lot of union jobs are going to be shut down. A lot of hardworking people who have mom and pop businesses in all over California.
Oh, that's true.
So I mean, it's just not. We're not doing this because we're a bunch of crazy, radical Republicans or libertarians or crazy Democrats. We're just regular Californians who are doing what we need to do what's in our legal authority as residents, and that is to use the recall. And thank God we have that opportunity to do that.
That's true, and we totally agree with you on that. What I was trying to get at, the question I was trying to answer is, since you're out there on the ground getting people to sign, right? I imagine people have that conversation as to why they're going to go ahead and sign the petition, right? What has been the reason or the top 3 reasons people went ahead and signed the petition to recall the governor from the ground level, right? From the people from the voters, if you have that information.
Yeah, of course I have it. And I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's frustration. It's government overreach. It's the fact that everybody's put on house arrest for a year. And I do mean house arrest. For a while there, you were not allowed to go out of your homes after dark. And you just don't treat a civilized society that way. I mean, you don't do it just because one man says so. And I don't care if he's the governor or president of the United States. I mean, we all have the ability to live free lives here in America. And I think that was something that will go down in his political obituary when this thing is all said and done. And I think it's going to send a message to politicians all over the country and all over the world that you better, when you make overreaching policies and you go to that extreme level one way or another, someone's going to hold you accountable. And it's usually that's what we do in a democracy. We don't do it in a violent way. We do it in a way that we're allowed to under the Constitution.
That's good. Now, Randy, I want to ask you a couple questions too.
Sure.
You know how the media likes to twist things, and this is why I reached out to the organization, because I want to hear from the organization itself. There's reports coming out that with California opening up, that this momentum may start dying out, right? Because the restrictions are coming back, and there's also the point that there's no really strong Republican candidates that can challenge Newsom if it gets to the ballot in November. So right. My question to you is, do you see this momentum falling back as we reopen the state? And also, given that the rumor right now, that's what I would call it, a rumor, that there's no really strong challengers to replace Newsom, unlike Schwarzenegger, who had that real strong name recognition in 03, it was able to replace Davis. Do you see that issue coming up?
I think it's a very legitimate issue that you just brought up. And I think a lot of, I answered that question dozens of times a day. And I think my answer is the fact that, we're not here to pick the next governor. We're here to hold this governor accountable. And by the end of the day, you're going to have between 300 and 500 candidates who are going to be running for governor in the replacement campaign. And a lot of those are going to be Democrats, because Democrats don't want to see this state fail. We have a lot of good friends. I love Democrats. I used to be a Democrat. I was a Democratic Party leader for years on the LA County Central Committee and California Democratic Party Executive Board. I understand it. I get it. But sometimes party politics has to take a back seat to governing. And I think that's the revolution that we're seeing right now. That's the anger people have. And it's not because of one party rule. And that's all we've had in California for your entire generation. The only ones who've been in charge of California has been Democrats. So I don't think you guys remember back in the days when actually we had Republicans that were a governor here in California, whether it be Schwarzenegger or Pete Wilson or George Duke-Majan. There really was a balance of power. And I think we miss those days. And that's not, it's not anybody's fault other than the system. And we understand, that California is, like you like to call it, a solid blue state. Well, it's really not a solid blue state. It's just a state of people that, that are used to voting the same way over and over again. And look where it's gotten us. It's gotten us nowhere. It's gotten us in this problem.
Right. And as you know, we're a bilingual political podcast. Sure. So a lot of us target Latinos. And
yeah.
During the lockdown, like around March last year, LA started adding more restrictions to businesses. And they said they reduced it. They were fining people. Jaime and I went to talk to business owners.
Yeah,
we're talking about their frustrations. But as you know, this is the majority of population in California is Latino. But a lot of them being Democrat. But the thing is, when it comes to the recall campaign, what should be the message to Latinos in support of the recall, given what they've seen as part of them suffering through businesses, being the essential workers and all that, and the lack of care that we've seen from this governor with the COVID-19 pandemic?
I hate to get a little emotional here, but it breaks my heart.
It's emotional to us. That's why I brought it up, because like I said, it's something that Jaime and I got emotional when we talk to these people directly, and we're trying to convey that a lot. We want the people to see the perspective, just not from us, but from people that are actually working on this issue.
It's heartbreaking, and I don't even know what to say. And sometimes you have to do things that are a little bit bigger than yourselves when it comes to politics and campaigns, and the suffering has to stop, and we cannot. We can't have government control every aspect of our life, and it's heartbreaking and it's devastating. And we've all lost friends to this pandemic. We've all lost loved ones, and some neighborhoods and communities have been hit harder than others. But it's the economic devastation that will never be revived. And I look at the mom and pop shops there on Atlantic Boulevard or in Huntington Park or Bell Gardens, and they're never going to get back into business. They're done, and that was completely. It could have been avoided. What's the difference of having somebody sit outside in the patio to have a dinner, or having somebody go ahead and be 3 feet over inside of a restaurant? There's no rhyme or reason. It was just mean politics. It was mean spirited, and it was about political power and control. And I think that's what's been so frustrating. And so that's why we try to continue to reach out to everybody we can in every interview that I do. I just want to remind people that, a lot of people's lives have been destroyed, not because of the pandemic per se, it's because of the results of the politicians who have overreached. And the other thing that really just, excuse my French, it just really irks me. I was going to say another word, but I'm going to keep it a family show here. But really gets me boiling is I'm tired of seeing a politician on television 3 hours a day. I'm tired of seeing Mayor Eric Garcetti on television every day. I'm tired of seeing Long Beach Mayor Robert Garcia on television every day, or or Governor Schwarzenegger. I mean, Governor Schwarzenegger, Governor Newsom. I mean, these people have been given free airtime for a year. And sometimes they were on television 6 and 7 and 8 hours a day, every day. And it was all to feed their ego. And they didn't accomplish anything. They made the matter worse. So I think in the future, we need to let the politicians know that they're not in charge of our lives. We're in charge of their life, and we're in charge of their careers. And we're the ones who put them in office, and we're the ones who can take them out of office in a very peaceful, democratic way. So that's the anger that people feel. That's what motivates me every day. And I think that's what motivates so many other ones, that we want to just instill hope to everybody. And especially, in the heart and soul of California, which is the Latino community.
Well, Randy, we thank you for taking time and appreciate you coming and answering our questions. I know you're busy.
Oh, my pleasure.
You got a long campaign. We wish you the best. We're hoping you succeed. So we'll keep in touch and hope to have you again once this recall is over and see what the results were.
We're probably going to be doing this between now and November. So let's just have a fun time and get to know each other pretty well.
All right.
Yes. Thank you very much, Randy, for being here.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it, man. Anything you need, let me know.
All right. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, guys.
And with that, we conclude this week's broadcast of MM Talk. We hope you liked it, and we always remind you to please follow us through our social media pages on Anchor and on Spotify. If you have any questions, comments, just go ahead and drop them there. We also ask you to like and share our content and share it with your friends. Once again, this is Eddie Marmolejo, Jaime Moreno. This is MM Talk, and remember, we're tired of it too.